Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's Shauna here at the Manitoba Museum. Very excited for today's episode of Animal Adaptations Life Cycles. Now, for those of you who joined us last week, you might remember that Corinne was talking about animal skins and coverings, but also what got me really excited, she was talking about camouflage. So you know what? I spent all this week looking at my house and camouflaging things, and I gotta show you something so exciting, guys. I found in my fridge some eggs. Very exciting. But guess what else I found that's extremely exciting? I opened up my eggs and they're brown eggs. So check it out, guys. Camouflage egg. I think I would make a very good bird parent because I think this egg would camouflage so well, maybe on a nest, on the ground. Corinne, check it out. Look at my camouflaged egg.
I was just going to say that's amazing, Shauna, and that's so useful for what we're going to talk about today, because today we're actually going to talk about offspring, and babies come from eggs, certain of them.
They do?
They do, well, some of them. We're going to talk about that.
It's going to hatch out of this egg. Hopefully a lizard.
If you found it in your fridge, though, it might be a chicken.
Oh, you're right. It says chicken eggs. Well, I'm very excited to learn about babies and eggs and everything else today. Awesome.
Excellent. Well, we're going to get started. So I'm just going to share my screen so you can see some of our animal friends from the museum. And so just hang on tight as I manage that. And we are going to be talking about life cycles today. And so here we have one of my favorites, the little pups from the wolf diorama. We're going to be talking about how they grow from children into adults. And so as Shauna mentioned, my name's Corinne. I'm from the Learning and Engagement Department at the Manitoba Museum. Shauna's still going to be with us in the background. So in the chat, as she mentioned earlier, you are welcome to ask questions, throw in comments. Shauna will be there to answer them behind the scenes, but also I'm here, hopefully going to be able to answer them from the scenes. For those of you on Facebook, there is about a 30-second delay, but somebody is there watching and passing on that information, so we don't get to see it right away. So just be patient. So again, one of the things that we need to do, and we're going to talk about animal needs. We've been talking about how animals need food, how they learn how to hunt, and how they use camouflage, as Shauna pointed out with her egg. Another way that we all survive is to have offspring, future generations that will continue to live on after we are gone. And so today we're going to explore animals and their life cycles. Now, to better understand an animal life cycle, we have to understand our own. So we all start off as a baby and we continue to grow and very quickly into a kid. And so the next process takes a little bit longer until we reach adulthood. But you'll notice as we go, we don't really change in look. Sure, our hair color might darken or get lighter as we grow older, but as a baby, we have eyes, we have ears, we have a mouth, we have a nose, we have arms, we have legs, and that doesn't change as we get older. So we look very similar to our parents. And you know, usually when a baby is born, you'll often hear adults saying, oh, he looks just like his daddy, or he looks just like his mommy, because we look like our parents. That's the same thing for animals. Because we happen to be animals. We are part of the mammal family. And just like us, we are born alive. We're going to take a look at this baby beaver who is also born alive. And so here we take a look at this baby beaver. I'm going to play this video. So apologies if it skips there a little bit or is a little fuzzy, but we're going to zoom in and we're going to see that it has two eyes, a nose, those fun teeth that can chew on everything, whiskers, ears, and it's got that nice fur, not quite as thick. It's got a tail, it's got webbed paws, and it's got front paws. And so let's just take a look over here, compare the baby beaver to its parent. Very similar, both have ears, eyes, nose, that tail, those webbed back paws to help them swim. All their features are the same. Just as this baby beaver grows up, it's just going to look more and more like its parent. And so the important thing to take from this is this baby beaver was born alive and looks like a parrot. Another mammal, because I love my pups from the wolf diorama. Here we have the pups. They are playing around. They've got their 2 ears. They've got their snout, their nose, their eyes, their 4 paws, and a tail, which lo and behold is exactly like mom. But their colors are a little different. And that's important because quite honestly, mom still has a lot to teach her young ones. She still has to teach them how to hunt. She has to teach them, well, if they were a bird, how to fly. And so those, just like our parents who teach us lots and get us to become great adults, animals do that for their young. And so here we see that mom and babies look similar, but again, that color is different. And that's just because to help them camouflage a little bit better. We're gonna look at that just a little bit in more details. Now, not all animals are born alive. For example, the loon, just like Shauna had, comes from an egg. And so the loon, she has a very important job to do. For instance, she sits in this nest and must protect her eggs. The sad thing about this poor loon is she's very clumsy on land. She's not as graceful as she is in the water. And sometimes she knocks those eggs out of her nest. Even worse is us. We like to use our boats, and sometimes we make waves in the water, and those can knock those out of the nest as well. So this is why it's very important to have offspring, because you need them to survive and continue that species growing. But more fun, a fun story. These guys are all over Winnipeg right now exploring. These cute little babies also come from an egg. And we're going to talk a little bit about the story of mom. So mom hatches these eggs, and she will spend the time turning the eggs over so they're heated evenly. It takes a whole month for the eggs to hatch. But when they do, when that chick is ready, it will spend 2 days pecking at that egg to break out. And these guys have these down feathers. They can almost come out of their nest immediately as soon as they are born because of those down feathers. Now, it'll take them a full 40 days to 70 days, almost all summer, to learn how to fly after that. But they will stay together as a family, so the moms and dads will protect their young. And you'll notice, do they have a beak? Do they have a head? Do they have a tail? Do they have wings that just don't work? So they look very similar to their moms and dads, except, of course, their coloring is very different. And this is very important because you'll notice when I actually went to go film this, I didn't actually spot them because the grass was yellow. It was very yellowy green. And so when I walked past them, I almost didn't spot the babies on the ground. So they're kind of using this different coloring of feathers to kind of camouflage in their environment. So this is a very important thing because those babies are very vulnerable and we need them to grow up into becoming adults. Now, some birds actually don't always sit on their nests to protect their eggs. For instance, the robin has lots of things to do to prepare for their babies to be born. But luckily for the robin, their eggs are very bright blue. And this bright blue actually absorbs the light from the sun, the UV rays, and that actually keeps those eggs nice and warm. So the robin doesn't always have to be in the nest. Now, again, just kind of like the geese, there's mom, the bright red belly for the robin, but babies don't always have that bright orange belly or chest. They actually have speckles, again, to keep them protected a little bit more like to keep them a little bit more like their nest and their surroundings. This kind of helps them camouflage until they're ready to be out on their own like their parents, and it takes almost a whole year before they grow into an adult. So this is very important to help them survive. Now we're going to talk about something completely different. So we've been talking about babies who look like mom and dad, even though different colors, different shades of fur or feathers, but have very similar features. Now, today, right now, we're going to talk about frogs. Oh, and hold on. Honey, you have to go downstairs. Okay, thank you. sorry, my kid wants to learn about frogs right now too. So we're just gonna sit tight and we're gonna learn about frogs together. Okay, so here's the frog. Frogs are different, like I said, they go through something called metamorphosis. And so they change from being something into something else. And so we're gonna take a look at how they are started. So they come from an egg just like the birds. However, these shells are very different. These eggs don't have shells. And so you can see that one frog species can lay hundreds of eggs in the water. Now, the other interesting things is that it only takes a couple of days before they turn into these guys. These are babies. They don't look like a frog at all. These are called tadpoles. Now, tadpoles will live like this for a couple of weeks. And then when a tadpole is ready to change into an adult, stop it, please. They will look like this. And in 24 hours, they will go from being a tadpole to almost an adult frog. That means during this time, they are going to develop things that will let them swim on top or go on earth or on land. And so that is the interesting thing. They're also going to develop bone structure. So in 24 hours, that is a huge transformation for one little animal. Now, next, they become an adult. And only when they are an adult can they come and live on land. Before that, they actually have to stay underwater as a tadpole. Now, last but not least, we have caterpillars. Caterpillars, as they grow, they will also have to go through metamorphosis and they change into something completely different. Beautiful butterflies. So this is also an example of something that's born.
I love caterpillars.
You love caterpillars? So my son Mason loves caterpillars. But more so his brothers love butterflies. So very fun. Now, last but not least, we had a couple of questions. And one is how big does the baby geese get? So they will turn into a full-fledged adult over the course of a summer. And I think they're about 20 pounds when they're all said and done. And another one is, why do some dogs, why don't they grow when they are a baby? So actually, we had a puppy. We just got her in the fall, in the fall, and by Christmas time, she was a full-fledged adult. So she, depending on the breed, some of them grow a little slower, and some of them grow a lot quicker. But yeah, and I think those are the only two questions that I saw in the chat. Mason, do you have any questions? No, Mason does not have any questions. I actually have a challenge for you at home today. Here we have a life cycle, and I love creating art. And Mason, I actually borrowed his Play-Doh today, and I made a beautiful purple leaf. We have purple leaves in the front of our house on one of our trees, and so I placed some eggs on it. And eventually, those eggs will turn into a caterpillar. So here I have my caterpillar. I haven't created the pupa. I haven't quite figured that out. So maybe you guys will be able to share with me your pupa if you guys decide to do a life cycle of a butterfly. But here is my attempt at my butterfly. Hi, Shauna, what do you got there? Oh, I can't hear you. Shauna, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Oh no, we're having technical.
I was just so excited.
Oh, you're so excited?
I was just so excited.
Excellent. And what do you got there?
I got macaroni and I got some construction paper.
Ooh.
I was so excited I forgot to unmute myself because I'm just so excited to do your activity.
Yeah, Shauna's got macaroni. What are you gonna make with that macaroni? Are you gonna make a life cycle?
Try to make a life cycle.
Ooh,
I haven't decided.
Oh, you haven't decided which animal? That's so exciting.
Hi, Mason. Thank you very much for joining us this week. That was so
We will see you guys
much
next
fun.
week.
It was great to see so many friends this week too. Don't forget to join us next
See
week
you guys
at
next
the
week
same
for our
time.
last
And
episode.
last episode and Friday en français. See you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.